Okay, so in this one we're going to be flying my 3_cinema drone. It's 86 kilometers per hour with 2 kilos of thrust. I think it's quite a good drone, to be honest with you. It's all right for me. So let's come out this, and we're going to be flying on the out of service, and then we're going to be doing this Scrapyard one. Let's just put it on favourite. This Scrapyard one here. Camera tilt at 15 degrees, and then the camera is then at 140 degrees as well. I want to be able to, and I have been practicing, I want to say that, I want to be able to have throttle control is the most important thing. So flying slowly, flying in a straight line, and also flying through small gaps. So we're just going to have a quick fly around first, just to show the scenery. We've got then these yellow gates that we can go through, and I've got the rates. I'll show the rates right now. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. So as you can see here, I've spanned the throttle rates all the way down, because I want that point in the middle where it's not really going to move, so we can hover from there. And I've found that this is a pretty good sweet spot for that. So yeah, let's just start again, and let's just do a quick fly around. And 15 degrees for the speeds that we're going at, I think is going to be okay. I said I think is going to be okay. I mean, I have practiced on it already, and it seemed to be better. I mean, like 25 degrees, it seemed to be a little bit more difficult to fly closer to the ground without crashing, and maybe that's something I've got to practice at, or maybe 15 degrees is better. But anyway, so this is what we're looking at. So let's just try and go for a couple of the bigger ones here first. And let's come down to the ground, and let's just try and get throttle control, because it's what it's all about. And I think, you know, it's all well and good being able to fly fast, but it's all about being able to control the drone as well, to go as slow as possible when required, you know. And so we're going to try and go through this one gap here, or not the gap, the gate, let's call it. And it shouldn't be too difficult to go through, but remember, we don't want to go through fast. We're trying to go through slowly, and whoops, and try and go straight. Because yeah, once you're on position, you can speed through the gate as fast as possible, and you can kind of like, your eyes kind of help you out with it, so it seems to get a little bit easier. But I think to fly through it slowly, and I think also the key point is knowing when you're not going to make a hole, and then being able to get out of it as quick as possible, or to get away from the crash, to avoid the crash as best as you can. And I think that's a skill in itself, to be able to react to the crash. Because yeah, in the simulator, yes, it's fine to crash, but you know, I've got a couple of drones that I bought that were cheaper, and you know, there you're happy to crash them and fix them with a bit of tape and so on. But when the lens cracks or something, you know, it's very difficult to fly it after that with any goggles on or anything like that. So you need to make sure that, you know, if you're going to crash head on, that you protect the camera, protect the most important things by either turning away, so you turn the camera away, or something like that. So you know that, you know, if the frame's carbon fiber, so that one of the motors or the arms gets it instead, because that's obviously a lot stronger point than the top of it. It's like, you know, a tank, the most vulnerable part of a tank is the top part, whereas the sides, they're all covered in armor and so on. and the bottom of it is pretty sturdy too. But the top of a tank is always the point where you want to best penetrate it when possible. Okay, anyway, enough talking about tanks. So let's try and get back to this. And like my point of the main aim of these videos is one to show other people, you know, how difficult it is to have this learning process has a steep learning curve. And I said in another video that, you know, the first bit is very much theoretical, and then the rest is practice. But if you don't know the theoretical side of it, it becomes very difficult. But you need to get these micro movements in your fingers working. You know, you have to understand. You can hear, I don't know whether you can hear on the microphone, the motors going on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. That's because I'm not brilliant yet at keeping a constant speed or constant throttle or thrust. You know, I'm still improving on that, because you need to like keep the pitch, move the pitch up and down to keep it. And I'm just happy to fly around slowly, because trust me when I say it's far easier to fly around fast than it is to fly around slowly. And it is, because you know, when you've got wide open spaces and the gates are 100 meters away or whatever, it's really easy because you've got so much more time. But when you've got to get through a hole that's literally, you know, like 2 meters away or 3 meters away from the previous gap, and then you've got to turn, and then you've got to stop, you've got to brake, you've got to you know, and I'm not an expert from this, and I am literally I'm still learning every single day and practicing, and I want to be able to master this type of stuff. And you see a lot of videos on YouTube and so on, where the guys are just racing as fast as possible, which is fine. But you know, there's this big part in between of where you've got to learn to be able to do that. And I think it's very difficult to describe how to do it. You've got to learn how to feel that motor in your fingers, and you've got to learn how to just to it's to feeling it. You know, you've got to feel it, and there's no objectiveness from it. It's literally your fingers and your mind and your everything about it. It just feels. It feels right. And I like Michael Jackson said this once in This Is It, and he says we've just got to feel it, you know, when it's right, and it's got to sound right, it's got to feel right, everything's got to be right, and I think that's what drone flying is all about. It's about feeling and being at one with the controller, and at being one with the drone itself as well, because you know your eyes are obviously playing a massive part to drone flying. And if you do have the sound of the motors as well, then the sound of the motors is playing a massive part too. But I think it's more important to have these micro movements going backwards and forwards, because the more and more your fingers do it, the more used to they're going to get to making more and more micro movements as you go along. So if you're just used to making these macro movements, then you're never gonna fine tune the micro ones. And yeah, and you need to get a proper controller as well. I didn't mean to say you have to. I've got the Beta FPV Light 2 Express, or whatever it's called, the light one, and I think this is brilliant to train your fingers to be able to feel these micro movements that to learn how to cope with these micro movements. And yes, you've got to understand about the different maneuvers and how to do it, but if you can't accelerate, or if you can't add thrust and then yaw at the same time, you know, you need to be able to move the yaw. You need to be able to move the yaw at the same thrust level. And you can see my my thrust is still going up and down, but that's because I'm doing it fast. But if I do it a bit slower, maybe I'm looking at the joystick here on the screen, but I'm still practicing. But this is, for me, it's I'm a big fan of first principle theory as well, and splitting this task down into the smallest amount of pieces that you can, and seeing what is it I need to learn. Well, you need to learn how to move the throttle, as smoothly and as in controlled manner as possible. But you also need to be able to move the yaw left and right in a smooth way. And so once you can do that, you then have to learn how to do the yaw and the throttle at the same time, by keeping the yaw going just exactly horizontal how you want it, and keeping the throttle in the position that you want it. But then at one point you've got to be able to put the pitch up or down, because if you've got throttle on and you're pitching forward, you're always going to be losing altitude. So you've got to be able to pitch up a little bit as well, or pitch down, depending upon which way you're moving. And so the two fingers, they go in one. And I mean, roll is important, but yaw is way more important, because yaw is your eyes, and without your eyes you're not going to be able to fly. So when we yaw right, we have to be able to then roll and then go forward to bring it in. And I think that's important part of being able to turn slowly, because it's all well and good having the camera angle at 0 degrees, but you need to be able to turn 90 degrees or turn 30, 60 degrees or whatever, by keeping the drone at the level that it was previously, and without it going up and down. And I'm still practicing at that, so don't think I'm saying I'm an expert at it. This is why I'm doing these videos, because it puts me under pressure. Let's see if we can go through this gap. Yes. Well, so, and we go under here nice and slow. See, I'm trying more to improve upon this throttle on, off, on, off, on, and so on, because I'm like bouncing underneath the plane, and that's what I'm trying to improve upon right now. And I've seen a couple of videos where people say that you should race up and down to try and get the line as straight as possible, but that seems to be quite easy actually. But to go there super slowly is way more difficult. I mean, let's go down this yellow line. Let's turn around here. Oh yeah. It's even getting to the speed to be able to be lined up right now. Let's turn around and let's just try and get ourselves lined up. And this takes some learning how to do. Okay, now let's do this. And I'm putting like power on. It's way more easier to go fast. I don't know whether it's me, I've just practiced it a lot of times, but that is way more easier than coming here and doing this slowly now. And it can be that is more difficult, that I've just practiced it more, but you can see the bouncing is a lot. If you look at my throttle, it was going up and down then. So I appreciate the point that it does help you to do like rapid micro movements, I suppose. That's one thing, but slow micro movements need more control. So it's, anyway, let's now find a nice place to land, because landing is just as important as flying. And we'll land on top of this yellow one. And let's come in. This is throttle control. Come on. Whoops, start again. Let's come out. We're not learning how to crash, we're learning how to land. That'll do for me. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.